Okay, a couple things we can do up here in the timeline. Uh, the first and probably most important to me is we can put a marker down. If we control click in this light gray area, we can do add locator. And with this is just a little flag that gives us some text. So we can say bridge starts here. You can say whatever you want. Um, and then up here, I can add another one and say chorus, whatever. Now each of these flags works like a playhead. So I can click here if I'm playing, I can click there and start, and then I can go to here, and the next downbeat, it'll go there. I can shift and start. I can shift this by clicking and dragging. Maybe you saw a few of these that I had set up in the previous track. I like to use these when I'm writing to keep track of the sections. Another thing we can do in this area up here is add a meter change. So our meter is here. We're in 4/4 time, so that's 4 beats per bar. If we wanted to change it, we could change it here. We could say 7/4, like that last piece was in. And that adjusts the grid to show us 7/4. But if we wanted to change it at a specific spot in the track, we can do it up here. So now I'm back in 4/4. I can say add a time signature change and say 7/4. And now from here forward is in 7/4. So if I'm playing from here, you can look up here and see when it hits that spot, that's going to change to 7/4, like that. Now, interesting to note also, you also see this little tiny red dot up there, right? What that means, we're going to see a lot more of those pretty soon, in actually just a couple of videos, but that means that something is automated on that track. And automation means something else is controlling it. So as soon as we put this 7/4 marker in here, that little light popped up just so that we know when we look at our meter, something else is telling it how to behave. Okay? We call that automation. We're going to look at more automation in just a few minutes. So some of the important functions that are here. Let's go back into this loop, and I just want to point out one other thing here. What we have here is, in this particular case, is this kick, right? And it's hitting on every other beat. Now this audio file has 4 kicks in it, and then we're looping that over and over. What we could do, and is sometimes more efficient, is just loop 1. If you look up here, it's effectively doing the same thing, right? But it gives me a little more flexibility sometimes. I just want to point that out and keep in mind that there's no real need to loop all 4. I could loop 3, although doing an odd number sometimes causes some confusion. 2 is just as well, but you might as well just do 1. So there's no need to loop all 4 of those if they're all the same. Just to point that out. Now if I was going to do that up here with the clap, it's a little trickier, right? Because I can't loop just 1. Because if I loop just 1, that happens, right? But if I loop the space before it, it does work. So you have to loop the empty space before it, and there's some other tricks around that too, but essentially that will work to create this whole beat. Just 2 individual hits with the loop set up correctly. Okay, so just a couple little things on that. Oh, one other thing I want to point out is that when you're working with clips, you can always move things with the arrow keys. And if you hold down Shift with the arrow keys, you can extend things out, your selection out anyway. And you can move up or down with the arrow keys as well for what you're selecting. Okay, Let's talk about MIDI editing and quantizing.